Good evening and welcome to the late night show. That's right. Late night with Frumess going live. I just finished a bunch of post-production work and I got to check my work tomorrow, and when it's done, and I'm so glad to have that behind me. And um I paused the work on I paused that post-production work to take my little son to go see Jurassic Park. It was playing in 3D at the Alamo Draft House. I'm not too pleased with the Alamo Draft House as of late, but that's another story for another time. In any case, I took him, and because I was like, there's so seldom is there an opportunity to see a classic like Jurassic Park on the big screen, and he's seen it once when he was 5, but he didn't really remember it that well. Hey, what's going on, Louis? Louis is in the house. He didn't really remember it that well. So it was kind of like a first time watch for him. And I was, like I said, I hate 3D. I'm not a fan. I really, really, really dislike 3D. I don't like the glasses. They give me a headache. Usually the 3D conversion is not always that great. Generally, if I'm going to watch something in 3D, I need the 3D to be incorporated in the story. I want to see something, coming at me, that sort of thing. Louis asks, how old is my son? Louis saw it when he was 6, and it was both awesome and terrifying. My son is 7. So 30 years ago, it was the 30-year anniversary, which is why it's back in theaters. 30 years ago, I saw Jurassic Park when I was 7 years old. And 30 years later, my son is now 7, and I took him to go see Jurassic Park. And, like I said, we did. Yeah, of course, the puddle shot is the bomb. LA Rams. The puddle shot it's the best. It's absolutely the best. You know, like I said, I wasn't too stoked about the 3D, and I got to tell you, I was shocked, man. I was shocked at how well the 3D worked. It actually might be the most positive 3D experience I've ever had. Seeing a movie in the theater. Like I said, it gives me a headache, but no, not in this case. They did a pretty good job with the conversion. So if you get a chance, it's in the theaters right now. If you get a chance, I recommend it. I totally recommend going to see it in 3D. I remember it had to be sometime in 1992. I can remember as a little boy talking with my dad, and my dad made mention of a movie based on a book where the dinosaurs come to life. That's what I thought it was, again, as a small child. I must have been 6 or 7, because maybe I turned 7 and then the movie came out. Maybe I was 6 years old. I remember seeing Time magazine was talking about how incredible the special effects were for this movie. I could still remember being in my kitchen looking at like behind the scenes photos and like Time magazine. And I knew we were going to go see it. I can remember going down the front stairs of my house, going to hop in the car to go see it in the theater. And I can still remember, it's one of my core childhood memories. I can still remember that roar of the T-Rex in the theater for the first time. And I was so afraid that watching it again in the theater, because this is the first time I've seen Jurassic Park in the theater in 30 years. I was afraid that it would like overwrite the memory of seeing it when I was a kid. And I don't think that's happened at all. I think if anything, it's sort of been like enriched and intensified in the most wonderful way. That roar, I mean, that's like a spellbinding moment. And it's also like, it's a great, going to see this in theater 30 years later is a great example of why movie theaters and seeing things in the movie theater is so important. Taking in a movie with an audience. I just saw another film first for me, a movie I've seen Jurassic Park hundreds of times. We had it on VHS, and I used to watch it every single day when I got home from school. Every single day, I just would put that movie on. I've seen it so many times. I know it so well. And another film like that I talk about a lot on the channel is Return of the Living Dead. I went to go see Return of the Living Dead this summer in the theater, and it was also a first for me to see this movie with an audience and totally like understand the comedy for the first time. And that was what happened with Jurassic Park. We're watching it and like all the moments, all the funny moments that I usually don't laugh at because I'm by myself or I'm, with one other person in the house watching or whatever. I don't know. Suddenly all these moments come to life for me in like this sort of like the comedic timing comes out. And I don't know. I feel like watching it, I saw it with such fresh eyes watching it in the theater. And the thing that I took note of, there are a few things that I took note of with this screening. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about, not that anybody gives a shit, but just my son's reaction. These are the rewarding, when they say like, what's the meaning of being a parent, or like the positives of being a parent and like raising a child. This is one of those great, like wonderful, cherished pastimes where I really do love being a father, showing my son the things that I love and cherish, and showing him the things that I, revered when I was a child. These moments are magical, man. And there's nothing more magical than going to see a Steven Spielberg movie on the big screen. You know what I mean? Like, I love Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is the GOAT to me, man. He's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. And I know I'm hyperbolic when I say Jurassic Park is the greatest film of all time. It's not the greatest film of all time, but it is one of the greatest films of all time. It is one of the greats. It really, really is. And going in there and watching, he sat in my lap the whole time, and it was funny. I knew he was scared because we had to get up to go to the bathroom, which I hate friggin' doing. I hate getting up to go to the bathroom in a movie, even if it's like Avengers Endgame. I'm like a camel. I mean, look how much live streaming I do. Do I ever get up to go for a pee break? I never do, right? Like, I just go straight through. But my son, he's a little guy. He drank a lot of water. We had to get up a few times, but I suspect that he actually wanted to get up because he was a little afraid. So we got up to go to the bathroom begrudgingly. I was like, come on, can't you go yourself? He's like, no, Dad, come on. He needed me to take him, so I took him to the bathroom. But seeing him like scared like that, but like not in like, it wasn't like a bad way. It was like a wonderful way. He was wonderfully scared. The movie thrilled him, like really thrilled him. And watching it with a child who's never like really, who doesn't remember seeing it. He watched it when he was 5, but like, he kind of fell asleep and he wasn't really, in it. He wasn't in the movie. He's at that age where he's so impressionable. And the thing again, the wonderful thing about Steven Spielberg is he knows how to do something that's both monstrous and horrifying while at the same time being like kid friendly. It's the perfect like introduction to monsters and like suspense and terror, all wrapped up in this like heartfelt package that is Jurassic Park. I mean, it really is. It's a magical experience. So he's sitting there, he's watching it, and like when the velociraptor pops out at Ellie, when she restarts the park, man, he jumped like this, man. And it was great. It was so great. It was like, I'm trying to decide the words escape me, but like I could feel his whole body like shudder with excitement as he's watching this velociraptor. I just wasn't expecting this kind of reaction from him because my son has seen a lot of stuff. He watches YouTube. He's like, he's seen lots of dinosaur stuff. So check it out. Here's what's really crazy. I took my son to see Jurassic World, the last one that came out, Extinction. He already had seen Extinction. He's been exposed to dinosaurs, but none of those movies made him jump the way that Jurassic Park did. And it was amazing, man. It was amazing. He had a great time. I had a great time. I just sat there, I was like kissing the back of his head, like putting just like really like soaking up, like being with my son. I was just really digging it, really enjoying it. And he loved it. He absolutely loved it. And So the things that I noticed, hold on, I see some comments here. Pod, wow, Pod, I haven't seen you in a long time. Pod says, I feel the same way about Predator. I hope I get to see it in the theater again. See, that's what's funny. So my son has seen Predator multiple times, doesn't phase him. Like loves Predator, but Jurassic Park freaked him out. Like not freaked him out, like made him jump a whole bunch of times. Yes, clever girl. You know, that was an arc that I never wrote. There was a lot. Okay, so here's the other thing that's great about seeing a movie in like a different venue and noticing things that you maybe have not noticed before. Like I noticed all the character arcs came to life for me in a way that they never had before. Like for instance, Robert Muldoon, whose action figure from 1993 is right over there on that shelf. Robert Muldoon, like I never noticed his character arc before. He has an arc. It's a short one. It's like a setup and a payoff. But when they're talking, everything in this movie, first of all, I just want to talk a minute about the exposition. This should be like when they teach screenwriting in school, this is what the example should be for how you do exposition. It's golden. It's absolutely golden. Nothing feels forced or out of place in the explaining that they do. They set so many things up. Dr. Alan Grant, when he's explaining to the kid why the turkey is so dangerous, he's talking about the fact that raptors are pack hunters and how they come at you from the sides and distract you. You're staring at the one in front. You don't see the other two come at you from the side. And this is the Achilles heel for the game warden, Robert Muldoon, who's like this badass warden, whatever, like, hunter from Africa or something. And like game warden type guy who's an expert on the raptors, but he's not familiar with the hunting patterns. So when he realizes that they're being hunted, him and Ellie, he tells Ellie to run for it, to go into the bunker. And he goes after, and he falls right into the very trap that Dr. Grant talks about earlier in the film. And for some reason, I thought that is, again, I've been watching this movie for 30 years. I've seen it hundreds of times. I never once thought about how that relates to that. And for some reason I did this time. And it was mad. It was so cool to see that. And yes, I love every line of dialogue he says. He chews it like a fine steak. What's the name of that actor who plays Robert Muldoon? He's Bob Peck. Bob Peck is great. He says, we're being hunted. Run. He goes, I got her in my sights. And it's just like, he tells her to run and she runs for it. And the way that he takes the shotgun, the shotgun mount, for some reason, it's really fast in the movie, but for some reason, I don't know, it just feels like it takes 5 minutes for him to put that stock down and put the little thing down before he raises the gun. And the gun handling noise, the Foley of the gun handling noise, like deeply, deeply rooted in my brain, like truly. Other exposition that's just so great. Not even exposition, like we see, like, why is Dennis Nedry stealing the embryos in the first place? And then we get we get a sense that he has money issues because he's dealing with Hammond. And they have this, like, they reveal in their dialogue, but it's not like JJ Abrams in like The Force Awakens, like turning to the camera and being like, having like Han Solo and Leia like turn to the camera and go, our son turned to the dark side. He turned evil. It's like just so like casually revealed that Dennis Nedry is complaining about the bid that he put in for the computer work he's doing, and how, they've had this conversation many times before. And then all of a sudden it makes sense as to why he's stealing what he's stealing. And just the arc of Ian Malcolm and how Ian Malcolm, is injecting the idea of like how life, it's like Hammond is trying to bring order. Not only is he trying to bring the spectacle to life, but he's trying to control life, and he's trying to bring order to life when life is chaotic and uncontrollable. And that's what Ian Malcolm is trying to explain. He's really explaining it to us. And who's best represented in that too is Dr. Alan Grant and his curiosity as a human being. Like, just like every time they're supposed to be doing something, he like gets out of the car when he sees a sick triceratops. He doesn't do when they're descending in the helicopter to bring them to the island. He doesn't have the proper seatbelt. Like his seatbelt doesn't work. He just has to tie it together. It's like Dr. Grant is sort of navigating like the chaos of life through his curiosity. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's really cool. And then, there's just all sorts of stuff that's being said. The giant piles of literal shit, just like the idea that like the doctor who's with Ellie when they're looking over the triceratops, and he's telling them how they don't eat the lilac berries. And it's just like, and then she has to sift through the doctor's bullshit to find out the truth, and it turns out that he's not wrong. But I just thought about like the metaphor of like how the thing about Dr. John Hammond, and I love Richard Attenborough, so great. It's funny, he's Scottish, and his Scottish accent, it's very, very subtle. It's not like a thick stereotypical I can't even, I'm doing that's a horrible Scottish accent, but you know what I mean? Like it's very, very slight, and it's charming, and he's so charming. But the thing about Dr. John Hammond is that he is both full of shit and while at the same time being deeply genuine in his passion of wanting to bring something real to an audience. He wants to like bring he wants to bring imagination to life, because dinosaurs are imaginary to us, even though obviously they're fossils and that they really walk the idea that they don't exist anymore. They are something in our imagination that we think about because we see these fossils and they make us think about like, who were these creatures and what did they do when they roamed the earth 65 million years ago? And then he wants to bring that to life. He brings a semblance, because these aren't actually dinosaurs. They are cloned Frankenstein hybrids. They are frog dinosaur mutation clones. That's what they are, which then dovetails into the chaos theory of Malcolm, because Malcolm is saying like life finds a way, and that ultimately proves true. And we get some brilliant expositional dialogue from Dr. Alan Grant when he's like the gap. He's like, they use the frog DNA to close the gaps and the sequences. And it's funny how I like remember all this like jargon from when I was 7, but I didn't really understand it. And then like, I'm like in the theater, I'm like, yeah, that's right. You need the frog DNA goes inside the gaps of the dinosaur DNA to fill in the gaps. Yeah. And then you put it in an unfertilized ostrich egg. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. And it's like, but he's right, man. He's ultimately right. He's like these things that Hammond wants control. He wants to control the life that is chaos. He wants to control life that is chaos. And he thinks he can do it by bringing dinosaurs to life and then keeping them in electrified fences. He thinks he can control people too, because he needs Ellie and Alan and Ian to sign off on the park for the investors, to appease the investors and whatnot. And if he could just get them to do that, then everything will go Hammond's way. But the Hammond's arc is that like nothing that Hammond wants to do ever goes according to plan. Nothing. Like, and that's his ultimate like, folly. And you see him broken at the end. He's like eternally optimistic. He's talking to Ellie and he's talking about how next time it's going to be better. And she's like, no, there is no next time. This is done. You're done. Like, we just need to save our loved ones and get the fuck out of here. As he's sitting there stress eating the melting ice cream. I love how there's like, he's just like, it just cuts to him like binge eating ice cream that's melting because he's and like just wallowing in his sadness. It's so touching. It's magical. I keep using the word magical because it's magical, man. They talk about, Ian Malcolm talks about wielding power without, having any discipline. There was no discipline. They didn't earn the right to wield the power. They just watched others do it and then copied it. And now they're flying fancy free with it. you know, and then Ellie admits, Ellie has a kind of a smaller arc where she kind of, you know, when she's sitting with Hammond eating ice cream, she admits too that like she was enticed by that power, and that power is kind of like blown back, you know. It's also, you know, we talked on this channel previously, we've talked about the Frankenstein trope. This is the Frankenstein trope, you know, movies where, you know, the Frankenstein's monster is created and then rebels against its master, it can't be contained, and ultimately, you know, overthrows the master. And that, man, Jurassic Park, perfect example. I always compare, it's funny, I always to say that, you know, just the way that like Scream is my Halloween, and Jaws is my Jaws, but Jurassic Park is also my Jaws. You know, ironically, it's kind of amazing to think that the guy who made Jaws also made Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones and E.T. Like, that's why he's the GOAT, dude. Like, that's why the dude's a GOAT. Like, think about all these iconic, incredible movies. This dude friggin' made all those movies. Hook, you know, just unreal, unfriggin' real. And then some funny observations about like John Hammond that I noticed. You know, hold on, what is Pod says? I know it's cliche, but my favorite part is the life finds a way scene. Back in '93 is pretty profound. Two young kids, yeah. It's a beautiful theme. It's a beautiful theme. Life cannot be controlled. Life finds a way. You know, this idea that we think we understand life. We use science to understand life. And no matter how much we try to understand life and control life, life is an uncontrollable thing. And no matter what we do, you know, can't be controlled. One thing that I kind of, you know, you have Samuel L. Jackson, who, this was before he like kind of blew up with Pulp Fiction. You have Samuel L. Jackson as Ray Arnold, Mr. Arnold. He's kind of like the computer. He's the computer tech that works with Dennis Nedry, played by Wayne Knight, who's just so great in this as well. And I just feel like, you know, Wayne Knight probably has, I want to say, just as much screen time maybe as Samuel Jackson, or equivalent. And Dennis Nedry has like a fully fleshed out arc and like a character. And I feel like Ray Arnold is like 2 steps below that. Like I just needed a little bit more in this 2-hour runtime. If I had to make one complaint, it would probably be that. And, you know, I read the book like back in the 90s and I hardly remember anything about it. But I want to believe that maybe Ray Arnold has more of a, you know, more character, or who knows, maybe that got cut a little bit. So some funny things about Hammond. And before we talk about them, we should probably mention that the sponsor of this channel is riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers is the bomb. Riotstickers.com. You can get 1,000 stickers for $79. You can't beat that price. It's better than anything else. Link will be in the description. I just went live. I freeballed this time. I was not intending to go live, but I had to talk about Jurassic Park. I was feeling on fire, and I just wanted to like get these observations like out, you know, just super quick, like quick and dirty. So 1,000 stickers, $79. Go to ridestickers.com/Frumess to find out more information. And let's play the very quick video, and I'll run and get a...
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too, posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support, great customer service, and so much more. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
And we're back. we're talking about Jurassic Park, and I was talking before about John Hammond and some other things that I noticed. So John Hammond is also kind of a supervillain, and it's kind of funny. He brings these people to his like island lair where he's got dinosaurs inside of electronic fences. He's like super rich, eccentric. He's kind of like in another like world. I'm about to sneeze. John Hammond would be a James Bond villain, like straight up. Like he would be, and he's got, instead of red shirts, like, excuse me. Instead of red shirts, like in Star Trek, you know how everybody's like wearing a red shirt? Like he has goons. They all wear pink. Did you ever notice that? There's like all these like extras, and they just wear like these, they have pink belts and they have pink polo shirts that have Jurassic Park insignia. And it's almost like he could be a Bond villain, or he could even be like a Batman rogue, you know, some sort of like rogue from the Batman's gallery, you know, rogues gallery. And I just love all the, you know, all the peons and stuff. They're really, really, really funny. In terms of like the like the actual screening. So some things that like that I felt while I was watching the screening that I want to say before I forget them forever. I won't forget them, but I want to just bring them up. Friggin' when the T-Rex, when you see the ripples in the cups of water that first time, you can feel the electricity. First of all, it's dead quiet. It's like you can't hear you could hear a fucking pin drop in that theater. All you hear is the rumbling. The soundtrack is the sound design is unbelievable. The dynamics of that whole sequence when the T-Rex attacks the car, it's unfucking believable. It goes, you know, just like a Pixies song. It goes from loud, quiet, loud. And the use of the roar, it's not like they don't rely on the mute. There's no reliance on like heavy musical score. It's all about the sounds of the T-Rex. But when you hear that, you feel the electricity. I could feel the tension. I felt my son who's sitting in my lap, he's dead still, like just dead still, full attention, eyes glued to the screen, as am I. It was just like the magic of going to see a movie on the big screen. It was magical. It was friggin' magical to feel that again. And that's why, you know, even if you have the movie on DVD or Blu-ray or it's available on streaming, if you have the opportunity to see a movie in the theater, you're going to have an experience that you would not normally get. That's the reality, man. That's the truth. It really, really, truly. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just sort of floundering. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to say. In terms of like additional arcs, you have Dr. Alan Grant, who, you know, he hates technology and he dislikes children. And then here he is thrown into a situation where he has to become a surrogate father, and he embraces the role. And I thought that was really beautiful. And that's kind of like, that's a very surface arc. Like we see, it's very easy to see. There's also like something that's a little bit more subtle in the idea that like, he went from a guy who dug up the past and like, you know, was like his life was fossils. And now he lives in a world where dinosaurs are real. And suddenly it causes him to like sort of reevaluate the world. And the last scene in all of Jurassic Park is, and this is from the book, in the original book, and what they ended up doing in the third movie directed by Joe Johnston, when you look out the window, you're supposed to see pterodactyls leaving the island, and they replaced that with some pelican birds. And at the time, you know, cutting edge science, you know, understanding of dinosaurs was that dinosaurs are more related to birds than they were reptiles. And everybody who was like, you know, didn't know jack shit about nothing about dinosaurs knew this pop culture science factoid from Jurassic Park. And there's a lot of discussion about like dinosaurs and their relation to birds. And like to see Dr. Alan Grant, like I recognize the significance of the shot as he's holding the kids who are sleeping in his arms, and he's like looking out at these like flying pelicans, and just like sort of marveling at life and at these birds, these descendants of dinosaurs. And just kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like the world has changed forever for him, not just because he's had this harrowing experience, but now because he spent his entire life literally digging for answers to questions that he was never meant to know, right? Like, and the metaphor there is that he's digging. Oh shit, crazy white boys in the house from Baltimore. And he says, greetings. I heard the Pixies mention, one of my favorites, Gouge Away. Crazy white boy, I directed a movie called Gouge Away, and it's available to Patreons and YouTube members. Actually, that's the old version. It's very soon to be released on Blu-ray, but that's another story for another time. But I just thought you should know that, crazy white boy, in case you were not aware of that fact. You should know that. The idea that, it's so interesting. Like Dr. Alan Grant, he's digging for answers to questions that he will never know the answers to. He can't. Why? Because we don't have time machines. And now suddenly here he is confronted with so much knowledge, with so many answers to questions that he was endlessly digging for. And it causes him, you see him, he holds on to this raptor claw that he uses to freak out the kid at the beginning, and he tosses it. He goes from, it's weird. It's like he goes from like attacking this kid with the raptor claw to like holding kids as they sleep in a tree and throwing the raptor claw away. Like Dr. Alan Grant probably has the most profound change, I think, arc wise. I don't know. It's funny. I don't know if John Hammond ever really truly changes. I think he's crushed, but I think he's an eternal believer in wanting to, bring dreams to life. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So it's like Dr. Alan Grant. And that's another thing too. They're like kind of like two sides of the same coin. Dr. Alan Grant, like he's digging for answers. And I'm sorry, I'm like breaking this in my head as I'm trying to say it. He's digging for answers while John Hammond is like creating them. Yeah, Kevin the dinosaur. Okay, trivia question for anybody. Kevin the dinosaur. What movie is that from? And I'm positive that's what this is a reference to. And I'm glad to hear that, crazy white boy. What Kevin the dinosaur? What movie is that from? Maybe I'll make that the question of the episode. Hold on, let me just make sure that I'm right about. Oh wait, no, I don't want. I shouldn't have asked the question already. God damn it. I'm pretty sure this is right. Let me see. Am I right? No. No, I was wrong. But this is now I have my question. Okay, perfect. That was too funny. I was almost positive. I was like, oh shit, I know what that's from. No, I was wrong, but now I have my question for the show. And what was my question? My question isn't related to this. We're doing a giveaway, which is going to be ending in August. That's going to be at the end of August, we'll tally up all of our t-shirts and get started on the ordering and things. I'm going to be doing a live show every single day. I'm going to be giving away a t-shirt. At the end of every episode, I will ask my trivia question. You will send your answer to FrumessMAIL@gmail.com, and the first person to answer correctly will be the winner. You give me your name, your address, and your t-shirt size. If you are outside of the continental United States, you will have to cover shipping and handling. Join us night after night where I will be doing t-shirt giveaways. Who doesn't like a free t-shirt? I'm not going to go easy on any of you. I'm going to ask really hard questions. So be prepared. Okay, so you know what's coming. You know what's up. You know what the deal is. Hey, Angus McCorder is here. He says, I need to rewatch this movie. The only thing I remember is the poor lawyer being crushed to death. That's one way to say how he died. He was fucking eaten by a goddamn T-Rex. But yeah, I'm catching up. I saw JP in the theater multiple times. It was revolutionary and mind-blowing. Yes, it was, Kevin. And you know why also it was revolutionary and mind-blowing? Because the guy who wrote this book, and he also helped to write the screenplay. Hold on, I got to turn on the fan. It's late, guys. I can't stay on forever. I got to wrap this up very shortly because I got to wake up early in the morning. But fucking Michael Crichton, dude, like to come up with this idea, like I don't know if he came up with this idea, but like how he came up with this idea, but this revolutionary idea that doesn't seem, it's like pseudoscience, like, because like, does it actually work? Like, no, but I think actually today it kind of does. I remember reading somewhere very recently that like they legitimately can bring extinct, not dinosaurs, but that they are like, I believe like woolly mammoths have been, they've managed to replicate cells from woolly mammoths with an approximation of this scientific logic that is behind what, Michael Crichton wrote about. And, it's one thing to write about it. And up to this point, we've never seen, it's funny too, we've never seen dinosaurs up until this point, like the ones in Jurassic Park. And frankly, I don't think that a single movie, not even any of the sequels, have managed to capture the essence. When you look at the dinosaurs, when you look at the T-Rex, I mean, it really is something else. This is 1993. This is a 1993 composite of using a real-life animatronic done by the brilliant Stan Winston, as well as early CGI. And you know what? You know why Spielberg is a fucking genius? He's like, we're going to do this at night, and it's going to be raining. And it's like, oh, shit, that's going to make things more harder and more complicated, but that's also going to hide all the wires. And to this day, here we are 30 years later, and we probably will never get to see a real dinosaur. Like, who knows, in this day and age, and like with AI and just like all the fucking technology that's exploding, maybe we will see a dinosaur. I won't say never, but I mean, really, truly, I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you think about all the things that have come to pass, like, in 1993, could you have envisioned a device like a smartphone? Like, I mean, well, maybe, but like, could you envisioning them exist like today? Like, even, I don't know, there's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff like that. The point was, like, Steven Spielberg and Stan Winston, they brought dinosaurs to life for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, they made dinosaurs real. Like, we got to see dinosaurs. Like, do we actually know they were dinosaurs? Like, no, but like we don't know that they were accurate, but they like brought these things to life. It's the perfect blend of monster movie meets adventure with kid, family, fun, science, Frankenstein. It's just, Jurassic Park is the GOAT, man. It's the fucking GOAT for a reason. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to say. I mean, we really, truly, you've never seen, even like even the production design, the color palette, man, just the way that everybody represents a different color. Dr. Alan Grant is blue. Ellie is pink. Hammond is white. Ian Malcolm is black. It's just so well thought out, man. It's just so well done. I love this movie. I love this movie so much. I guess it's time for the trivia question. And I decided, okay, are you ready for my trivia question? Here it is. What you send your answers to FrumessMAIL@gmail.com. What is the name of Clifford's dinosaur in the movie Clifford, also which came out in 1993, starring Martin Short as the title character Clifford? What is the name of the dinosaur in Clifford? Email your answer to FrumessMAIL@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me on this super impromptu episode. I got to tell you, I really, really miss going live. Like, I really do. I miss it terribly. I've just been so concerned with putting together this Blu-ray release. It's just like I only have so much time, and Patreon and YouTube member content. I got more stuff coming. I do. I've had stuff sitting on the shelf, and I'm just, like I said, I'm consumed with this thing. I'm just one man. More shit is coming, I promise. So stay tuned for all of that. And I will be back with a vengeance. By the way, October's coming. You know what October means? We're doing 31 days of Halloween. If you don't know what that is, go watch last year's tailgate for that. We'll be doing that next month. That's going to be happening in September, leading into October. So September is filled with watching like TV shows and like non-horror things, because come October, we're going to be doing 31 days of Halloween. That's the first make mention of it I'm going to do right now. So until then, peace, hair grease. Leave your memories about Jurassic Park down in the comments. Maybe we'll do more Jurassic Park in the future, although I really feel like I kind of shot my wad on it now. I just, I'm sure I'm going to be missing something. I'm going to be like sleeping in bed, or I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, I forgot to bring up that about Jurassic Park. Damn it. Something's going to, I'm going to forget. I'm going to remember something. I'm going to be pissed that I forgot it, but it is what it is. And that's all that it is. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Peace, hair grease. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me.